Gunna may have just beat every snitching allegation the entire hip-hop community has put on him with this new album, The Gift and the Curse. Gunna has been home for 6 months and has been slandered the entire time, after striking a plea deal, particularly the Alfred plea with the prosecution, which allowed Gunna to somehow plead guilty and somehow maintain his innocence since he was part of the Young Thug State Georgia YSL RICO trial. Many people felt that he snitched on Young Thug for an early exit, as he admitted YSL was indeed a gang. Now boy, did Gunna have something for us. Gunna went 15 for 15 on a solo album. The industry was shady, they turned their backs on him. After the snitching allegations, people didn't want to work with him, and one still managed to beat the odds to come out on top. After Dirk dissed him in what happened to Virgil Snippet and violated him in that DJ Academics interview where he said, "If you're rat at F Nation because I love Doug," people assumed the career for Gunna was over. However, the truth is, Gunna understood the assignment. Street rappers like Boosie were trying to cancel him for respectfully ratting. Atlanta producers like Weezy refused to produce his music. And people all of a sudden are scared to dance and sing in clubs when Gunna's music plays. He silenced the entire crowd the only way he could, with bars, and it's working. Fulton County Jail, the Atlanta jail that Young Thug and Gunna were both incarcerated in, is one of the most inhumane jails ever. And it was actually one of the reasons why Young Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, was motioning for him to get bail hearings on multiple occasions, which were denied as the conditions were so inhumane. People are getting stabbed, people are getting sick, the food is bad, the walls are deteriorating, the bathroom is basically in your cell and it's just dirty, and basically it's a really mental breakdown and mental deterioration for the prisoners. Gunna spoke on this explicitly on his song Rodeo Drive from his album. "I know some niggas locked up in the dungeon, that they say they feel me like a fabric. I know you heard I've been pulling up, pressing these niggas who claiming I ratted." This was 100% a direct shot towards Lil Durk, Schmirkyo, the voice of Chicago. You know, snitching in Gunna's case is very subjective because people are mad that he admitted that he was in the car with Young Thug, Jeffrey Williams, and said that the drugs and the guns didn't belong to him, insinuating they belonged to Young Thug. Now, all Gunna was doing, in my opinion, was providing reasonable doubt. The same thing they have to do in every court case. If they get both of you guys, you point the fingers at each other, making them have to actually figure out and do their job and find out who is the true owner or whose fingerprints at least on the weapon. If Young Thug was arrested and questioned, I would expect him to also do the same thing and say the guns and the drugs didn't belong to him. And you know what's crazy? This is actually what's going on in the YNW Melly murder trial, which actually finally begun after 5 years. YNW Melly, YNW Borland are being tried separately, and Melly's attorney is saying that, hey, Melly's friend Borland lied about his whereabouts, changed his clothes, gunpowder residue was found on him. And Melly, yeah, he was in the car. He didn't deny not being in the car, but he's not the shooter. And would you say that Melly's team basically stitching on his friend? No, because he's providing reasonable doubt. That is the whole job of the defense attorney, to provide reasonable doubt. He didn't say Thug did it, he just said, I didn't do it. And people are so quick to label the snitching, the ratting. And one thing I will admit is, you know, when you have to say, yes, man, the YSL's a gang, yes, you can say that is dry snitching, of course. I'm not going to try and deny that or act like that was never said or that never happened. But what I am saying is, for this situation where people are saying that he ratted off him saying that the guns and drugs didn't belong to him, if someone asked me that question, someone asked my friend that question, we're both saying no. Let them do their job. We're both saying no. Reasonable doubt. But the internet so quickly to label people, oh, he ratted, told XYZ, and like, it's just a very ugly time in social media right now because you have people who are fighting for their life in jail, and people are just so quick to call the next person a rat. Former podcaster and street media personality Taxstone addressed Gunna dry snitching. Offering unknown information in a criminal investigation that could help the government's case is snitching. What's so hard about understanding that? So yes, Gunna told the moment he admitted that YSL was a gang when it's a record label. Why would you agree with the government that YSL was a gang? That's what they're trying to prove. Many people have been pushing the narrative that Gunna told, and in fact, he feels like he didn't, which started to make Gunna wonder how Young Thug feels mentally, especially the fact that he's in jail and these lies being pushed towards him. Only I didn't cry because it's feeling for my bro, King Slime. And you know my mind, you don't watch that nigga grow, watch that nigga grow. You know you hear lies that your little brother, my foe, Gunna wanna. When Gunna first got released in December 2022, many people were skeptical because how is he getting out after they were denied bond for 3 separate times in the span of 6 months, and why is Young Thug still in jail? Now Gunna came home, of course, people were saying, I don't know if he ratted, you know, he's home, we missed Gunna, but then we saw the video of him saying yes ma'am, and it was raps. But also people like Lil Duval and other higher up figures are saying, let Young Thug co-sign him, let Young Thug say, nah, I told him to come home and take a plea deal, nah, I told him to come home because he wasn't really involved and I don't want him to, you know, be in the jail with me. He could probably make some music to pay for my bond or bail or lawyer fees. We didn't know what was happening. But what I'm hearing is now that Young Thug actually couldn't have even spoke to him in the jail, and when Gunna got released, he had no knowledge of it. So basically Gunna was acting in his own best interest, which many people believe is snitching because, sorry nigga, I'm trying to come home. Simple. The truth is, if Gunna and Young Thug ever spoke, it'll be considered witness tampering because Gunna is technically a state's witness, and obviously they would think that Young Thug was speaking to him to influence his decisions or possible testimonies in court, even though Gunna's lawyer specifically said he will have no involvement in the YSL RICO trial because there are already enough people testifying because they're getting 30 years, 10 years probation. We saw Unfunk's brother, or Young Thug's brother, Unfunk I should say, go to jail, come out, and get back in jail 6 months later. Now he's sentenced to 9 years. So it's like, it's all about decisions, but basically, we're waiting for a cosign that's never going to happen. Young Thug will never publicly speak to Gunna about anything because he can't. Gunna even threw shots at California Blood Wack 100, who's actually like Blueface's manager. And y'all know Wack is into a lot of stuff down in the West Coast in LA. Old niggas in my business, had to tell them tuck their nose. You white niggas can't get with this. I'm 100 for sure, 100 for show. People on social media even went as far to say as Lil Durk went and pressed Gunna, and Gunna still had the better album showing who's the big dog in the rap game. Now, like I said, when it comes to Gunna's music, people don't want to listen to it anymore in public because they want to seem like they're listening to a rat or a snitch. And this just shows you how people are so controlled by what the media and what the narrative does. Half the people listening to Gunna's music, more than half the people listening to Gunna's music, aren't even street affiliated or have never even crossed outside the line of boundaries or rules in life. But the fact that the big street rappers like Durkio, Boosie, other people in the industry who obviously have street ties because that was their upbringing, don't want to rock with snitches, they feel like, shoot, I can rock with as well. But like I said, there's a double-edged sword, or I guess you can say selective politicking, because when 6ix9ine told that man had to go release a Spanish album recently is what he did actually. I heard that he released a Spanish album because people don't listen to 6ix9ine in America. Like, get that guy out of here. But when it comes to Gunna, it's like Gunna's snitching was different from 6ix9ine because like 6ix9ine was given names, times, place, addresses, everything. Gunna was kind of like, it wasn't me. Was people can say insinuated was other people. However, he really didn't say any names. But 6ix9ine is obviously way worse, and people already didn't like 6ix9ine. So you can't be surprised when the treatment is different because 6ix9ine was way worse. But I guess when it comes to quote unquote snitching, it's on the river on the bank, and you guys are on the river, man. So Gunna really hasn't budged, and he's standing on nation business, as he basically said, I'm Gunna my own. Now, when we come to tiers or levels of rapper, Gunna is, I would say, a superstar rapper, the same how we view LeBron, Kawhi, KD, Steph, all these players like superstars in the NBA. I view Gunna, Thug, 21, Durk, Baby, Youngboy. All these guys are the superstars and one of the most elite level rappers. So the fact that he's going against the grain, he's going against the narrative, and he's keeping to push out content, push out music, and going against the odds, because he gave us bread and butter. Bread and butter was little appetite, little, alright, yo, wait for what I got next, man. I never told, I never ratted, you know, it was tough up in that cell, but y'all gonna feel my pain. And then he released A Gift and a Curse. He had Bottom, Back to the Moon, Rodeo Drive, Turn Your Back, Back on It. Like, that boy has some heavy hitters. Like, heavy hitters on this album. And it's crazy because when I first heard Gunna was one of the most mid rappers I've ever heard in my life. When I first heard him in 2018, like, I never understood the hype. But then when I heard Drip Season Forever last year, South to West, Living Wild, and I know he has Baby Birkin and Who You Foolin' and stuff like that from his older albums, but I really didn't believe the Gunna hype until most recently in the last, I would say, year or so. But Gunna beat all snitching allegations with this one. I don't care what nobody has to say. He went 15 for 15 on this album, no skips, and he did it on his own. I'm viewing Gunna as Iverson when he went to the 2001 NBA Finals against Kobe. He did that shit by himself. No help. Gunna's holding it down, and it's still free Thugger heavily, man, because Young Thug, this whole YSL RICO case in Atlanta, if this was in any other state like New York, this wouldn't even been a RICO case. Like, the evidence, I don't even think the evidence is really that strong. Like, this thing has been going on for 6 months, started in January, and they haven't even actually started trial. Still motion hearings. The jurors are being put under punishment for not coming to court, writing essays and stuff like that. It's just so, like, unorganized, and they're really playing with Thug's freedom, because you know when you're in jail, like, your mind just deteriorates mentally, and man, jail is one of the worst places to be, especially as a black man in America.